Ruto and Raila have a deal. This was revealed to me in a mighty dream that I had on Thursday, 10th of August this week. In this dream, Raila walks out of the deal with something. Ruto walks out of the deal with something. In between, there will be many sacrifices. People will be sacrificed. There will be casualties. People will be thrown under the bus. People's ambitions will be cut down to size, and a host of other things. Unfortunately, as usual with a dream and dreams, sometimes you wake up before you get certain answers. So in this dream, I could see clearly what Ruto will get and the people who will have to sacrifice. But I woke up before I could see what Raila will get out of the deal. First, it is obvious that William Ruto has come to the same conclusion Moi came to those many years ago, that Raila was a man you needed to handle with care. That Kibaki was not a fool to deal with Raila Odinga in the manner he dealt with. That Uhuru Kenyatta was not a weakling to go into the handshake with Raila Odinga. So William Ruto has come to the conclusion that you need peace to govern this country. You need to have a deal with Raila Odinga. And in this deal, therefore, William Ruto comes out with the peace he so requires, the tranquility, the stability, to be able to govern the country, perhaps for even more than one term. Unfortunately, like I said, it wasn't quite revealed to me what Raila will get out of this deal. But what was revealed to me in the dream is that both sides will have casualties. Many will be thrown under the bus. More importantly, it was revealed to me in the dream that the talks at Bomas are a mere PR exercise. That Raila and Ruto have no need for the talks. The deal has already been sealed. I tried to interrogate after waking up. I tried to apply logic to the revelations from this dream. I asked myself, is it true that Raila and Ruto have a dream and yet they are going for each other? The sort of things Ruto and his team, Gachagua, Ishungwa, were saying in Kirinyaga a couple of days ago. How would Ruto say that when he already had a deal with Raila? Raila himself is also going for Azimio, for Kenya Kwanza, in trying to answer Kome, Inspector General of Police, parading the bodies. That this can't be people who have a deal. Then applying the same logic, I asked myself, what else could they do? First, Ruto and Raila are acutely aware that the country is against a handshake. That any form of settlement will go against the mood in the country. So they can't come and say, here we are, we have agreed, end of mass action, and perhaps we enter into some kind of arrangement. They know that won't sell in this country today. So what do? They send people to negotiate. They already have a deal. But they must prepare the country and their troops for soft landing. And that's why Gachagua, Kimani Ichung'wah, Ndindi Nyoro and the rest are on a plane that is being guided by these two gentlemen. And they are preparing soft landing for the plane. Likewise for the side of Raila Odinga. And this brings us to the casualties. To the men to be thrown under the bus. The first on the list of the people to be thrown under the bus are people who jumped ship from Raila's side to Ruto's side. Certainly any negotiation and argument between Raila and Ruto will bring in sharp focus the Tomo genders, the Jalangos and the rest. So that among those people, unless they talk to Raila nicely, they will certainly be thrown under the bus. Some immediately, a whole lot of others will certainly not be re-elected to parliament in 2027. So those are already thrown under the bus. On the side of William Ruto, the talks, the vitriol, shouting, the insults directed at Raila and Azimio are only there to give William Samoei Ruto time to actualize the deal with Raila Odinga. And again, there are people who will be thrown under the bus. Any deal between Raila and Ruto, whatever shape it takes, whatever form, even a formless one, will mean those close to power, Rigathi Gachagua and his team, will have something big to lose. And they have, on this Saturday, I have bad news for them. That they are being led into insulting Raila and ridiculing him. But they are being led to the slaughterhouse. Soft landing happens in politics all the time. When the hammer finally falls, these guys will see what I'm talking about. And this game is beyond now, is beyond 2027, and is beyond 2032. So if anybody is in the corner of William Samoei Ruto, sitting pretty and thinking they are in the line of succession, that I'm the heir apparent to the throne, please wake up, smell the coffee, sip a bit of that coffee. You could have a rude shock awaiting you. I've looked at the thing and it makes a lot of sense. That even people like Kalonzo Musyoka, very diplomatic, good English, leading the talks, I would advise them to engage a little more actively with Raila Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. My advice to them is to look at the real agenda. Look at Raila in the eye and ask him, what is the end game? Just like Rigathi Gachagua should not content himself with being led into shouting and insulting Raila Odinga. He must also pull the president aside and ask the president, what if? What if, Mr. President? What if, Mr. President? What if at the end of the day there's going to be a deal between you and Raila Odinga? Where does that leave me? It's just being realistic. You are not being disrespectful because you are not an animal to be led to the slaughterhouse. So in this dream, I can see things taking shape. The talks are good for the country. Unlike those who think that these talks are meaningless, We need the talks to bring the peace we are currently enjoying. With a lot of investors leaving the country and going to other countries, we are losing jobs which we so badly need for our young people. We need the talks because they could provide the president with the excuse he needs to go against his agreement with IMF and World Bank here and there, and the Kenyan people could come out the winners. He could pretend it is through the talks that it's become necessary to remove the 8% VAT on fuel. The president could pretend that the talks have forced on him the need to bring back subsidies on fuel and on food. Yes, so the talks are not empty. But in terms of the substance, the deal has already been arrived at. And now finally, having examined the dream and looked at the country and the state of politics in the country, and looked at the general mood in this country and the feeling of the people of this country and the pain the people are going through, I have a joint advice to Raila Odinga and William Ruto. This country cannot afford a clever person. You cannot afford to think anyone can be clever for the people of this country. The choice of Bomas is highly symbolic. And my reading of the situation is that whether Raila and Ruto know it or not, whether Raila wants it or not, whether Ruto wants it or not, these bombers will lead to a big thing. Because beyond the agreements between Raila and Ruto, this country desires to have hope, to move forward. And in order for these two to happen, this country must solve the political question. Why do we go for each other like animals or like people who lived in the 17th century? Why do we have bloodshed, loss of lives, loss of property, grievous injuries to Kenyans, creating enmity between communities, between brother and brother every 5 years? It means we have the political question in this country. And my reading of the situation is that bombers will grow bigger than Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And they will resolve this political question. And that the people of this country will produce a national charter that will see this country achieve its full potential, leading Kenyans to enjoy life the way it should be enjoyed by modern men and women in the 21st century and beyond.